Hello, guys. Today I have a special guest. Luke here is the one who is keeping Synthesizer working. He's just there commenting on people's posts, but not just that. He's also taking care that everything works well and smoothly. So, Luke, could you introduce yourself and tell us why you are here?
Sure. Thank you, Asha, for doing everything that you're doing and being generally a valuable member of the community and doing these little interviews. It's so appreciated, and I love seeing those. And I think it really helps to get to know the most engaged members in the community. And this is kind of how I've always seen myself as just the most in one of the most engaged members, because at the end of the day, I love playing games, and something that games do to me is they put me in the state of flow where I'm just immersed. So immersion is just another word for engagement. And I feel like Skool is just like a big game that we get to play. And being in Synthesizer feels like I get to solve so many problems so quickly and help so many people at a very quick rate that over time, just doing that over and over again, eventually Andrew and Aiden were like, hey, to do this as like an actual thing, not just someone who is engaged, but actually the admin of Synthesizer. So as of 2 months, I'm the official admin of Synthesizer, taking care of the background, helping the moderation team, make sure that the quality is at the highest possible standard, ranking high in discovery, and just generally keeping the space in as like one of the best spaces where we can learn and share solutions.
Well, first, congrats for being the official admin from Synthesizer and for all the work you do. So the question that really comes to me, and probably for people who are just new here, what makes Synthesizer so special?
I think there are many things. The first thing that is like very factual is that Synthesizer is the first free community on Skool. So it started 4 years ago when Andrew Kirby decided that I'm gonna do things a little bit differently, and I just want to provide as much value to as many people as possible. And that's how Synthesizer was started. So I think this is one of the things that makes Synthesizer special, like the origin of Andrew Kirby starting the whole process. But then from there on, it just evolved and it grew into one of the tightest communities that I know, where people really root for each other to win. I know very few places where people are so eager to celebrate wins, to help each other out, to just give away value for free, knowing that we are all playing this infinite game where we only win by continuously playing.
It's like when I'm thinking about synthesizer and all that's happening, and what you're saying also, there's a lot of idea of gaming being playful, doing things together. Which when we have this stereotype idea of business, it's the opposite. In business, we have the feeling that people are fighting with each other, and we have someone like 50 Cent, Curtis Jackson, that said that he used to be a gangster and then he became a businessman, but he said that there's no difference because you just put on a suit and you're still being a gangster. And so synthesizer is competing with that idea that businesses are ruthless. How is this possible?
I think it connects very much to what Hermosi is talking about. Like he has a podcast that is literally called The Game, where he says that at the end of the day, business is like a game that you're playing. And one of the core value pillars of Synthesizer is fun. Because when we're having fun at whatever we're doing, whether that be work or studying, we ultimately do this better. And this kind of comes from the state of flow where we feel our best and perform our best. So if we're having fun, say we're not bored and we're not overwhelmed, this is where we actually learn the most and where we enjoy ourselves, because we need to have this kind of challenge. And if you are playing a game and the game was like too easy, like no one would want to play this game. And I think Synthesizer is doing one of these things very well, where we say it's like, yes, business is very difficult, but that's not a bad thing. this is actually a good thing because we get to learn all of these rules and we get better over time. And we don't have to do it alone. And I think not having to do it alone and seeing this great online game more as a way where we get to like play together, help each other, and ultimately just solve problems and share solutions is the thing that makes this community so unique and special.
This is beautiful. So what I'm hearing there is that actually what Hormozy and Synthesizer are doing is just taking what makes humans great and putting it into practice within the scope of business that is difficult. And instead of fighting with each other because it's difficult, we just help each other to overcome the difficulty, and that is the only difference. I really makes me think about the difference between a hero and a villain, because a hero and a villain both have the same backstory of pain, but the hero decide to use the pain to make the world a better place, while on the other side the villain decide to use the pain to make the world a worse place. So in a way, I would say Synthesizer decided to be the heroes of business. Am I right with this statement?
I guess you could say that. I think what underlines this principle is also that at the end of the day, villains create more villains because they like hurt people. But when you see people helping each other, you are being inspired to help others as well. So by sharing our solutions, by helping people who are a few steps behind and knowing that we have the support from the people that are a little bit ahead, we all know that we are in this together. We are all one community. And it's not a thing that we are trying to exploit, and it's not a thing that we're trying to get the most out of, but we started to realize the more that we give, the more we get out of it, because this community is built more like an ecosystem, and things that help the ecosystem grow, the larger intelligence of the ecosystem is like, oh, like this individual cell is helping me grow. I'm going to give you more resources so you can grow even more, ending up helping me grow and helping the greater collective. And I think this is one of the core ideas on how the best communities are functioning. Because if we all think about ourselves as one collective that supports itself, then it's just like an obvious thing on like what you should be doing, which is to help and inspire others.
I totally agree with you, and I love the way you are sharing that giving to people is like helping them give you back as well. And from what I've experienced within Synthesizer, my desire is to give to the community is that the more you give to others, the stronger you become. And I had this very simple thing of like analyzing more than 200 YouTube videos, and I made a file with this. I wanted to give that to the community. You know, like I'm not teaching how to grow a YouTube channel, but I wanted to know how to do it for myself. And I was like, oh, I'm gonna do this, and that's gonna be a huge impact, a huge gift for the community. And I realized that by giving this, I was learning, I was strengthening my knowledge. And so I encourage anyone to give to a community, because the more you can give, the more you get to know the knowledge, and the more you get strong with that knowledge. And that just makes you confident, like, oh, I can give that much, so people can ask me even more, you know.
Yeah, I think this is one of the strongest pieces of community. It's like, the best way to learn something is to teach it to someone else. But we're also getting feedback on what is working and what is not working. And I'm not sure about you, but I know many people, and like myself included, like I used to spend a lot of time building. And it's like, oh, like this is like what the world needs. And I think, and I spent years creating products and courses and all of that without ever really getting feedback, or not serious feedback at least. Because when I was showing that to people, it's like, oh yeah, that's great, keep going. But no one was really in the position. It's like, this is actually kind of complicated. And in Synthesizer in Skool, it was the first place where I got this real feedback, where people were like, okay, I like this, but I don't understand that. and I wouldn't buy this because it's not clear and it confuses me. And knowing what people actually pay money for is such a valuable thing. And knowing that you can be part of a community where people really want the best for you, and sometimes the best means telling you the thing that you've been spending 3 years on building isn't actually that good. And it may like hurt in that moment, but it's ultimately the best thing that you can do if you truly value the growth of that person. And I'm super grateful that this happened to me and that people told me the thing that I've been building for years, even though they were great for developing out my own character and helping me with my own understanding, it wasn't actually that helpful for other people. And from there on, really making it about like the people first. And instead of building something and then selling it, it's really the other way around, where we first talk with people, we understand what they're currently struggling with, and then we sell the thing because we know we can help them. Ideally, with a guarantee, if you haven't done this before, that people get their money back or you continue working with them. And then you actually build it with them based on the specific needs that are happening like on almost a weekly basis, because this is so much more valuable than any course that you can just put out there and things like, oh, I'm generating passive income, because passive income doesn't really exist. Like everything is hard, but you get to choose what kind of hard you want to do. And if you choose the hard that feels like play to you, then you're never really working anyways, because like it's a challenge that you get to overcome. It's like a difficult math problem if you like solving those, that you get to kind of like overcome. And the more difficult it is, the better you feel when you actually do solve it at the end. So that's why I just love embracing the difficulty.
100% guilty of building stuff that I've never took away. Like when I started in 2020, when I wanted to have my first online business, I spent a year of building courses. I think I've created 15 courses. I had like tons of material. And then I started, and people just wanted one-on-one calls with me. And I was like, I have courses. I sell them for nothing. And they were like, no, I want you. And I was like, oh shit. So I have, but still have, I still have a folder with tons of stuff I could be releasing. But yeah, clearly people, they think they want, they love things, and we get caught up on that. And what is actually most important is to connect with people and to understand what they want and start selling them stuff, because actually there are people who started businesses by just calling people and say, yeah, we're gonna start a coaching business, it's gonna be built on you, do you want to join? And it's going to be $5,000. We have nothing, which is the offer is that we're gonna do everything it takes to help you. And
Sounds
people
kind
have
of crazy when you say it like that.
yeah, like guy from Virgin, Bronson, like Richard Bronson, he started Virgin Airways without having money and without having a plane. The guy literally did the same thing. He started finding people. He's like, yeah, I have plane tickets for that place. Do you want to go? And people were like, sure, he was cheaper. And then he called Boeing and he was like, yeah, do you rent your planes? And they were like, no, well, if we have like another company that would just be legit, we would rent. And it was like, how much would you rent the plane? And they were like, this price. Like, well, I have that money, so if you want it, you can have it, and you just give me a plane for one flight. And he started without a plane, without money. He just called people and said, do you want a plane ticket for that place? So, like you can really start with nothing. Just if you have clients, then you build everything for them. And it's the same thing for a party. When I used to do events, and I never had that understanding that actually the event is built the day of the event.
Yeah.
You sell tickets to a festival, and people like 6 months before you're selling tickets. People buy the tickets, and you have 1 week to create the fucking festival, and so yeah, everything is built for the client on the spot. That's the best thing. When you go to restaurants, the same thing. So yeah, I love that.
So, something that I do want to interject there, because like, yes, it is true that like the things are kind of like you build as you go, but the more experience you have on having built previous things, it helps tremendously.
Yeah.
Because like when you mention events, knowing it's like, oh, we can do all of these things. It's like having these Lego blocks ready and you just
Yeah.
need to like install them. Saying like, hey, I just like I'm unprepared. I've never done this before, and I'm just gonna like sell people this, and then like I hope this goes well. That's not the right path either. And I've seen like some communities do that, and that's why like it's called the pump and dump strategy. So like only sell things that you're actually confident in delivering and having done something like that. So that's why one of the key aspects that we have in the roadmap is to have case studies. So you can build up these Lego blocks and then you have kind of like this repertoire and this menu. And when then a client comes into, let's say, a restaurant, you can say, hey, these are the dishes that I have already cooked. Which one would you like? And then they get to choose what they want. But it's not like you have never like done these recipes and then you do it for the first time. So I think it does come with a it's like you obviously give people what they want, but also know it's like all the building that we've been doing where no one has like wanted that, it's still build up our character and still build up like our menu and Lego block. And it's like, okay, I know I can do that at least.
I totally agree with you. This is the difference between confidence and arrogance. Confidence is when you know yourself and you know you can do it. Arrogance is when you think you can do it and in truth you can't do it. And clearly, if you are to sell a plane ticket to someone, if you don't have a plane, you're not going to be piloting the plane yourself. You're going to hire someone. So that's, I think one thing we can say is that if you want to sell a coaching onto something that you don't know how to deliver, you can have someone to consult and have someone to help you. But it's best to sell something that you're good at, something that you have confidence at, because there is a part of you need some grounding, something that's tangible that you know how to do it. But there's always gonna be something you don't know. And that's where the middle ground comes. There's a place where you have to start because you don't know what's gonna happen. You don't know what kind of true problem will come. Like this is really something I learned with hypnosis, you can have 10 people coming to you because they're smoking. And the problem they see is smoking. But the problem they have is very different. And beginning, I was like, oh, okay, that person is doing this, so I'm going to have to do that. And after a few sessions, I was like, actually, I don't know what the person is going to come. I'm just going to ask a question. The person's going to tell me what is the real problem. And then we're going to start the thing. And I'm going to improvise. So there is a part of you need to get to show up and to do things, but you also need to have enough preparation to like, there's going to be a situation I don't know where to go and I'm going to have to learn. It's like riding bicycle. When you have balance, you can start riding, but there might be some road with gravel, there might be some road with water, you don't know what's going to be. So when we're speaking about monetization, what do you think are the biggest roadblocks for people who join Synthesizer to start earning money?
I think most people run in one of two issues, and I've run into both of them. So the first one
Congratulations.
well, like I like to be thorough and like explore all the paths that do not work until I find the one that does work. Because that's what a good teacher does. You get really good at like finding ways or not to do it. So you can tell people, don't do that. I tried that already. So the first thing is to sell low ticket. And when we look at someone like Alexa Mosey or like these big names, and they all have like a low ticket offer or they have like their own app or something like that. It's like, oh, like we should just do the thing that they are doing. Well, that's like looking at like a pro athlete and saying, oh, I should just do the thing that they are doing. It's like, yes, but that's not where they started. You should do the thing that they did at your stage. And low ticket is just a way to get more people into high ticket. And it's very difficult to maintain unless you have the skills and the team to support you. So when I did like a low ticket offer, it was very difficult to like actually pay my bills with that. And I ended up like having to find a different job in a startup to just like maintain my living expenses. So that kind of like almost burned me out completely. So the first thing is like, don't do low ticket, like start with high ticket, get really good results with some people, because this will get you more people in. Then eventually you'll be at the point where it's like, okay, I cannot take more clients. And at this point you can either charge more, or you say, okay, now I actually want to do less, so I'd start hiring a team, and then you can do lower ticket because you have more volume. And you also have more proof, which means you have more leverage when you're creating content, so you can attract even more people. Because when you're starting, you don't really have that much leverage to begin with. So that's one aspect. And then the second one is a lack of time. And I was just mentioning content, and I see this is especially people who join Synthesizer and who are still very early, and they see themselves as an educational creator. I'm like, oh, like I love to like teach people things and like creating videos, and especially when they come from school and then they do a bunch of readings, and then it's like, oh, like I need to create like all of this content, because again, like the Hermosis and the Gary V's and all of those creating a shit ton of content, and they say you better start creating content and building your brand. It's like, yes, but that is not step 1, that is step 30. And once you have the proof, once you have like some really like big clients that you're working with, then you can start creating content. But in the beginning, the creating content isn't as powerful, because if you actually reach out to people one-on-one, you reach out to people that you know, you reach out to people in common, start conversations, and ultimately hopping on calls. This will build trust much more quickly than any other video, because in a video, like especially when you're getting started, most people don't watch past the first 30 seconds. So even if you're really good and your video gets like a few thousand views, out of these few thousand views, most people don't even get past the first 30 seconds. So it's really not that high leverage. And just because you're getting a lot of views doesn't mean you can actually monetize these people, even if you do have followers. So that's why we always tell people, don't do low ticket and don't start creating content until you're ready. And you're ready until you've had at least 5 high ticket clients that you got some like really strong testimonials from, because then you know the thing that I have now is a proven concept that I can now start scaling. And content is the first thing that you should start when you want to scale the thing that you already have.
Beautiful. That's a very simple way. Like just connect with people, have conversation with them, and ultimately you'll be able to have the experience that you will be able to share into your content. Luke, thank you for all this beautiful knowledge that you've been sharing. Do you have like any last words for people watching here?
I think the things I want to end with, which is also something that I wish I had learned in the beginning, is the importance of one source. So when you're watching this, just think about like, if you follow a recipe and you follow 3 cooks and you implement all the things that all 3 cooks tell you, and you're, let's say you want to bake a cake, then you end up putting 3 times the eggs in the recipe that are actually required. So that's why it's important that you focus on one person that you actually follow, because at the end of the day, anything can work, but not everything at the same time. So if you're unsure, select one person that you're following, this one source rule, follow them for 30 days and see what happens, and ignore everyone else's advice. And if you make progress on your journey, continue following them. And if not, choose a different one. So if you do this for 6 months, it's just unreasonable for you to not succeed.
Fucking love that. And I also need to say, like, I started following the one source rule, and I totally skipped Hormoz's book launch because of that. I was almost going to get it. I'm like, You know what? No, I don't need that. And even though if I need it, it's not the time. And that really made my life so much easier. Like when I'm consuming content, I'm just like opening YouTube. I'm like, oh, I don't need all of this. I'm just gonna do this three thing and that's all. And that just makes it's so much easier. You don't have to overload yourself with content. You know what you have to do.
It's so
Yeah,
liberating as well.
I love this. Well,
And
look,
this is where like you get the time back that you
yeah,
can then put in your business, which makes you grow even more quickly.
yeah, totally agree with that. And also, like the mental confusion we have on like, oh, this guy said that, oh, this guy said that. What do I do? Just stick to one thing and follow it. Build strong presence, bring strong connection. Luke, thank you for all you done in the synthesizer. Thank you for this interview, and may the force be with you always.
Always. The force is with me and I'm with the force.
Yes. Bye, everybody.
Enjoy.